Stop listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I got something I want to talk to y'all about. When I was growing up and going to school, they had this class, and it was a class on evolution. And this class on evolution was talking about we came from primates. Neil deGrasse, what is this? Neil deGrasse? Now I can't even think of his last name. Anyway, the science person, he talked about it, and he talked about how being related to Neanderthal said individuals of African descent, everybody's of African descent. I was surprised to hear him say that. It is the truth. Everything started in Africa, just like the Bible said from the very beginning. In the beginning, it talked about the Heldaka River and so on, and the Euphrates and all of that. So all of that's in Africa. That's where the Garden of Eden was said to be. Now, hold on now. What you don't understand that those rivers have changed since the flood. It's not the same trek as it was originally. Because of the flood, the course of the rivers have changed. Lord have mercy. But the river's name still remained. Why? What else were they going to call them? Now, speaking about that, if we came from gobbledygook and soup and mire and all of that stuff, and eventually, after billions of years, you have these two primates, and then they somehow are able to reproduce. Okay, they're the only ones because all the other ones are reproducing in something else, but they get to reproduce in this particular species. And then they, hold on now, y'all got to pay attention. And then because they're able to reproduce, they end up having these offspring, and eventually they get to be able to talk. And after they're able to talk, they realize there's too many of them. So what do they start doing? They start making sounds saying, "Ugh." And that was them and Bob, and met Susan, and they just made sounds, and they, oh wait, even if it meant that stuff, how did they know what it meant? They didn't have words, they didn't have names, so how did they create language? Well, every animal has a language. Really, they all have languages, huh? Intelligible languages? Mm-hmm. Sure they do. However, the Bible, the scriptures explain that man learned how to name things from Jehovah. What, you don't believe me? Let's go there. So our daily text is going to show up first, but we're going to go to the Biblia, and we're going to go to there, and then there, and then there, and then there, and then there. Now, look, it said, now pay attention. This is, we spoke earlier about the Heldeka and all of that stuff, and the river Euphrates and all of that, and the east of Assyria. It says, and God took the man and he set him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and take care of it. And God also gave the command to man, every tree of the garden you may eat to satisfaction. But hey, my tree that's sitting in the middle, leave it alone. Now, what you don't know, why was that tree there anyway? If he didn't want him to touch it, why would he put the tree there? Because it was a test. It was a test. Let's pay attention. Let's prove to you that it was a test. But as for the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, the tree didn't actually possess any knowledge of good and bad. Once he ate from it, he realized he did something wrong. Thus, the knowledge of good and bad. You must not eat from it. There's only one tree like it. He didn't say them, so it wasn't an apple tree. It said tree. For in the day you eat from it, you will certainly die. He didn't say your offspring. He said you. This was personal. For Adam alone. Personal. Now, hold on now. I want y'all to take a look because it's very important. It tells us, and he put the man whom he had formed in the Garden of Eden, and God made grow out of the ground all of these things. Yay! for the man. Now, notice this because this is what we're talking about. And the name of the first was Pishon. It was encircling the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold in that land is very good. And beldam gum and onyx stone is also there. And the name of the second, you notice how he says name, name, name? And then after God said it is not good for man to be by himself, I'm going to make a compliment of him. Sorry, I got to find my mouse because it ain't doing what it's supposed to do. I got to take care of that later. It says, and God began had been and now Jehovah had been forming from the ground every wild animal of the field and every flying creature of the heavens, and he began bringing them to the man. Pay attention to see what he would call each one, and whatever the man would call each living creature, that became its name. So no matter what language you go in, pay attention. It's the names that were there originally. Nobody's created a new name. Go ahead and even look at scientists when they discover something, they try to give it a name and look at the stupid names they give. But a dog, look at the name dog. It's in every language, it looks like a dog. A cat, every language is a cat. An elephant, the name exactly as you phonics it. A giraffe is exactly as you phonics it. A whale, whoa, is exactly as you phonics it. A dolphin. Pay attention, dolphin, and tell me it doesn't have fins. Interesting, ain't it? But we are supposed to come from evolution. So if we came from evolution, where did we get the ability for names? See, Adam learned it from someone because the one who named Adam had a name. The one who named woman had a name. So where did they get that from? All I can say is interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next time somebody tells you you came from an animal or a primate, if we did, then why are we naming them? If they came before us, why didn't they name us? How come dogs, chickens, pigeons, ducks don't talk? No, they make sounds. But how come they don't talk? How come there is no actual intelligent language? Remember, we all started from the same place, according to these so-called scientists. We all started from the same place. That means our development would be the same. Well, some evolved into this and some evolved into that. Yeah, but there's no proof. Where's the missing link? Mm-hmm. Exactly. But it's okay. We all started from the same place according to them. So that means the evolution would have been the same. Even if it was greater, by now they should be talking. Parents can talk. Nobody asked you about your parents. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we know that evolution's stupid. Now, was there evolution? Of course there was evolution. Of course there was evolution, but not to the extent that these scientists are saying there was evolution. All they did was took a partial and made it into a full model. That was stupid. Okay, literally, that was stupid. All right, gotta let y'all go. I just wanted to talk about this just for a second. Y'all take care. It's everything's in the name. Gotta go.